Well, welcome everyone to our next installment of Deltek's video blog series celebrating Social Media Week. I'm here with my colleague, Randi Powell, on the General Government Services State and Local team. Welcome, Randi.
Thank you.
And we are here to talk about Randi's blog on civic crowdfunding and state and local IT procurement. So my first question is, how does civic crowdfunding relate to procurement?
Great. So civic crowdfunding, first of all, quick definition is micro venture capitalism. Basically, that's what it is. So you have state governments, specifically local governments, that are looking for funding for unbudgeted IT projects or general projects in general. And they basically solicit the public for those extra, funds, kind of a fundraiser with a limited time. So they actually have websites dedicated to this. Most people know about Kickstarter, which is more targeted towards private sector, where you have entrepreneurs or innovators who come through who are looking for a certain amount of money to kind of advance their idea or their project. On the civic crowdfunding level, what we have are these relatively new websites. It's actually called Civic and Neighborly. These websites target specifically local governments, and they also target local governments, community organizations that have partnerships with local governments. So what we actually are seeing is that they're venturing out into finding ways to actually get some of these IT projects done, get some of these public works projects done, without necessarily having to dip into tax revenues in order to get it done. So this is kind of how procurement is actually moving forward for projects that otherwise would be shelved or postponed. And it's something that should really be considered and taken a good look by vendors at.
So Randi, tell us, why should state and local vendors be interested in the civic crowdfunding market?
Vendors should really be taking a look at civic crowdfunding sites such as Neighborly and City Investor for the possibilities that it actually has as these sites and many others will actually spring up and grow. Currently, these sites are really focusing on public works projects and public arts projects, and you'll notice that when you go to their sites. But there are sporadic examples of IT projects that they're actually leaning towards. And these projects, these IT projects that they're actually leaning towards are projects that actually directly affect constituents. So what you're actually going to see is you're going to see an expansion into IT projects as you kind of see the effectiveness. They're experimenting at this point to try to see how successful they can be with civic crowdfunding. Jordan Reiner, who's actually the co-founder of Citizen Investor, actually went and said that they're doing micro projects at this time. So what micro projects they can really focus on with small dollar, high impact kind of things are going to be public works projects. What he hopes to actually do is expand the dollar or the concept complexity of these projects as this website and Kickstarter and Neighborly actually expand moving forward. So this could actually, most likely you'll see more IT projects. IT projects usually are higher dollar. So when you have higher dollar projects, IT projects that municipalities are actually looking to move into, you're going to have the opportunity to get rid of these kind of backlogged, lower priority, unfunded, unbudgeted IT projects that do have a need on the local level, but they just don't have it in the budget. So what do? So maybe you get creative with your financing, and you're looking towards these crowdfunding opportunities to see what you can get and kind of push along and advance your IT infrastructure and updating your technologies and seeing what the public is actually willing to kick in, so to speak. So what you're actually able to do with these websites for vendors, they'll be able to go to these websites and kind of look around and see what's getting funding, seeing what kind of technologies are being funded through this. They're able to see a lot of the times these pitches that are posted by the cities on these websites. Detailed information, giving recommendations, specifications, requirements, and obviously, if they're looking for a set number, dollar amount, you're going to have a budget of how much these IT projects are actually looking for, if it's contracted or if it's not contracted. All this information is generally posted on the websites for particular projects. I really think that it plays itself for vendors to take a look at these crowdfunding websites. They'll get a good idea to help build out their pipeline. They'll get a good idea of what technologies are compatible with crowdfunding websites as well, and what are really the needs of localities moving forward, and how they want to use social media and smaller applications. So I think this is a new phenomenon, civic crowdfunding, which is definitely going to grow. We're going to see it expand in IT projects for local governments, and it's something that I think vendors should really kind of keep their ear to the grindstone on.
Can you give us a good example of a locality successfully using crowdfunding to advance an IT project?
A good example is actually going to be the two Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas. They actually partnered up to actually build out fiber optics into residential neighborhoods for businesses and schools and residents to actually gain broadband access. What ended up happening was that they needed more capital to actually expand to maybe lower income neighborhoods that wasn't available in the budget. So what the two Kansas City governments actually did was get together along with a local community group as well as a website called Neighborly, and post a really kind of a sales pitch on why people should give money to expand the project to lower income neighborhoods so that they could actually gain the broadband access that was coming through. So it was actually successful. They reached their goal. They actually had a really small goal of maybe $5,000, but they actually exceeded it, and actually I believe got almost $12,000, $11,000, and were able to expand the network to these neighborhoods. So right now they actually contracted with Google Fiber, and that project should actually be complete by late 2013. So this is just one of very small examples, small phenomenon of what's happening. But a lot of the Neighborly and Kickstarter websites, as well as civicinvestor.com websites, are really trying to start out small so that they can grow later on to include larger projects which require larger amounts of money. So this is just the beginning, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more IT projects that are going to be funded using crowdfunding sources.
Thank you for that analysis, Randi. Please be sure to join us tomorrow as we unveil our next installment in our Social Media Week video blog series.